On behalf of the board, I'd like to welcome each and every one here tonight. And at this time, we'll ask Mr. Ben Kirk to lead us in our prayer. And after following that, we'll do the pledge.
Father God, we thank you, Lord, for this day that you've given us. We thank you for keeping your hand of protection upon us all and our teachers and our students. Go before us tonight, God. Give us wisdom, give us clarity of mind, and be with us as we make decisions tonight. We give you praise and glory. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Farrell couldn't be with us tonight. He had a medical procedure done today, and so remember him. He called earlier and said he wasn't feeling very well. So at this time, I turn it over to Dr. Combs for the election of officers.
All right, September, so you know what that means, election of officers. So I'm gonna open up the floor for any nominations for chair.
I move that we elect, put Monty Westman's name in nomination.
All right. Anyone wanna second that? Second, Mr. Vincent. Anyone else? All right, anyone wanna make a nomination that we cease? Okay, second? All right, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
I appreciate all your confidence in me, and I do the best I can. If you see I'm not doing something, that we can always change up things. If y'all see that you'd like to see a change on procedures or whatever, just let me know, and I'm willing to do whatever y'all want to do. And I do appreciate each and every one of you, and as we move forward, okay? Thank you very much. Do we have a nomination for vice chairman?
You want to tell him why he's not here?
Sir?
Tell him why he's not here.
Yeah, I told him.
Okay.
You had a medical procedure, couldn't be. Yeah.
I'll nominate Mr. Farrell.
Okay, we have a nomination by Mr. Farrell. Are there any others? A second by Ms. McClurkin. Is there a motion for nominations to cease and Mr. Farrell be elected by acclamation? Motion by Mr. Jenkins, second by Ms. Eubanks. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Mr. Farrell's vice chairman. Now we have TLN representative, Tennessee Legislative Network. I believe Mr. Vincent's been doing that.
If nobody wants to volunteer, I'm glad to do that again.
Do we have a nomination for the TLN representative? Mr. Vincent, Mr. Jenkins nominates Mr. Vincent, and Mr. McCann second. Any other nominations? If not, do we have a motion for nomination to cease and Mr. Farrell be elected by acclamation? Motion by Mr. Kirk, second by Ms. McClurkin. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Welcome back, Mr. Vincent, for the TLN representative. You've represented us well.
It's a very prestigious
I
position.
know it is. You've really done a fine job. We appreciate you taking it. Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Motion by Mr. Jenkins, second by Mr. Kirk. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed. Are there any additions? There being none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Would anyone like to remove any item for discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Davidson, second by Ms. Eubanks. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed. Superintendent update, Dr. Combs.
Sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And to everyone out there, good evening. Thank you for being here. My first piece, and then I have a few guests that I would yield my time to as well. They'll come up here in just a minute. But first off, we've been working to demo and take the old Crestview Elementary School, Crestview Middle School to the ground, right? Get them done. It's an eyesore. It's just a memory of a bad day. We need to get rid of those. So we were gonna open bids a little bit ago. However, had to pause a little bit with the state for some asbestos stuff there that we had to deal with, but now we're good to go. They opened bids this morning. There were actually 10 bids there were 30-something who pulled information to bid, is that correct? That's Hunter. When they opened the bids this morning, A2H was here, Hunter and our team was here, and they went through them. We need a little time to go through those bids before we make a recommendation and give that information to you. We are going to call a special meeting Monday at 3 o'clock. And the purpose for that is strictly to give you our recommendation after we've had time to go through those bids. Both Hunter's team, myself, A2H again, go through those bids and then present those to you and recommend and make a recommendation. But we need to do that in a special call meeting on Monday at 3 o'clock. And we're gonna advertise it just like we always would, but since I have the opportunity here, I also wanted to let you know that, so that we can give you that information.
It's not the same day as the fall district meeting, is it?
It is, but we're doing it at 3, so it should be good. I think we've timed it. Oh, okay, I know that we discussed it earlier, and I think that'll give us plenty of time. I mean, honestly, it shouldn't take real long. We'll go through some information after we get it narrowed down. I think it'll be okay.
But its registration starts at 4:30.
And it's in Millington, so.
So we should have ample time.
Will you have enough time to get us information prior to the meeting?
Yes, sir. My understanding is our team's gonna meet tomorrow and go, it would have just been way too rushed to get it to you tonight. There's just no way. We wanna make sure that we go through it and give you an appropriate bid recommendation. So we're gonna go through it
And there
tomorrow.
have been one or two get bid, the legality of the form could have been obtained, however, with the amount of bids, A2H needed longer to make sure that all candidates did qualify and make all the, requirements for the bid package, so their recommendation was that we're meeting tomorrow, we will be meeting with, via phone call with them tomorrow, of course, to meet, to present you guys with that on Monday, but it was just, it was a stack, it was 10, it quite overwhelming. I imagine what the next round's gonna be to build, to put them back, so. It was a fun day.
But we should have that information too. It gives us more time. I didn't wanna rush it and not present you with the right information and miss something. So, that's the plan. Any questions about that? And again, for these bids, in the RFP we put out, what's the deadline to have these torn down?
November the 15th.
So the sooner we get this done, the sooner we can start negotiating a contract with whoever, y'all choose to use and get it rolling, so we can get these things done by the 15th. That's the plan. Yes, sir.
How close would having plans on like a new structure?
So we're meeting, we've been having meetings, once a week, actually twice a week with A2H to kind of give them feedback on what we'd like to see initially, like what needs to be in there initially. And then they're gonna start doing build outs and getting y'all plans very soon to start looking at. I mean, I would be surprised if you don't start seeing something in the October and November meetings. That's just my
Question on
opinion.
that.
Yes.
We had discussed the safe rooms in all the schools,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
these plans are gonna consist of that being in it, correct?
We have asked A2H to include that in the designs that they share with y'all, yes. Yeah, for y'all to do that, absolutely. Keep in mind, some things now, code is gonna provide that it didn't prior, like the ballistic glass and all that is now code. And obviously, we're also gonna include tomorrow, the adjuster will be in on that call as well, since insurance is paying for it, he's gonna need to have a little bit of say on what they're gonna pay for it. What we, if it goes beyond that, what we need to consider if we wanna do something different, but, hopefully he's gonna cover all of it, but we'll see. We're gonna include that in there. But yes, safe rooms, or a safe area is definitely something we've included what we want them to put in the plans for y'all to look at. And a few other things that I think you're gonna like, so we'll see. I think so. Any other questions here? All right, awesome. So, my guests, I have a couple guests with me. So the first is my good drug-free Tipton fellow board member here, Chief Deputy Chris Williams. And he's gonna just give us an update on, obviously, what everybody knows about the case that's been going on with one of our teachers. And he's gonna give us an update from law enforcement.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff Beasley unfortunately couldn't be here, so I apologize for him. Obviously, everyone knows what's going on. As far as the sheriff's office is involved, we have not brought charges. We are still conducting an active investigation. Due to that, the facts of the case are very limited as to what I can speak on. However, one of the questions that has arisen was specifically between us and Dr. Combs. Have we asked him, do not interview witnesses? Absolutely. We've done that for multiple reasons, and at the advice of the district attorney. And some of those reasons are, one, we don't want to victimize witnesses more than once. The least amount of times they have to tell their stories, the better for the person. We do that standard with all child cases. We have a child protective investigative team, and that's the whole point of it, is to bring as little trauma over the victims as possible. And then secondly, we don't want two statements out there. We don't want Dr. Combs or his team to interview a witness and take a statement, and then we interview a witness and take a statement. You can look at impeachment issues at that point, credibility issues. Obviously, you're getting a defense attorney 2 bites at the apple. So we have asked, not just Dr. Combs, but we've asked everybody involved in this case outside of law enforcement to please don't talk, don't ask questions, don't answer questions. Please leave it to us and let's have time to do our job, and just be understanding that it's a slow process, unfortunately, but we want to do it right. We want to do it right from the first. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So are you guys in charge?
It's a joint investigation. Covenant PD, I believe, has more of the case than we have, just because of the location of certain incidences, but we are working it together, and we do speak to them daily, I would say.
Okay.
If not daily, every other day.
Any other questions while we have Chief at the podium here? All right, thank you, Chief. I appreciate you coming, man. Thank you.
And secondly, man needs no introduction. Steve Shields, our attorney, is gonna also give us an update on where we are in the process.
Yes, thank you, Superintendent, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations to the officers, and I know you're very proud of that TON representative status again, you said it, and so thank you, board members. I want to thank you very much for allowing me to come up here for my 43rd year. Since I'm only 47, it's hard to believe. So the fact of the matter is, let me emphasize, you asked the question of who's in charge. And so when Dr. Fight was here, okay, we had a similar situation, not exactly the same, in which there was a teacher being accused of intercorporate relations with students, etc. And Dr. Fight and I sat down and we came up with an interview plan. And when we did, the police contacted Dr. Fight and said, no, we really don't want you going forward and interviewing these folks, etc. I'm getting to why the superintendent now's hands are tied and such. And so what occurred was this, is that I told Dr. Fight, I said, well, I don't understand that, because the law enforcement's doing a criminal investigation and we're doing a civil investigation. And so Dr. Fight said, yeah, let's kind of proceed. Shortly after that, I received a phone call from the district attorney's office. And here was the conversation. It still sticks in my mind to this day. The district attorney told me this. She said, Mr. Shields, I understand that Dr. Fight's thinking about interviewing some people in this particular matter. I want you to understand that I will prosecute him and you for interfering with a police investigation. And so as a result, if you want to know why we're not in charge, it's because of that, okay? That investigation is now in the hands of the police, in the capable hands of them. That's the first thing I want to share with you. A few hours ago, I received a phone call from Ms. McCommon's attorney. We have accepted her resignation. She has been suspended. She will no longer be with this school system in any form or manner. So that's one piece of news that I just found out a couple of hours ago. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is that some of you, maybe Mr. Davidson was here, on the data breach case. Remember the data breach case? It started 8 years ago. We were sued for $20 million. At that point, no school system had data breach insurance. Since then, we have data breach insurance, okay? The school system was sued for $20 million. I argued the case in federal court. We prevailed in federal court. The plaintiffs appealed to the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals. I flew to Cincinnati. I argued the case on behalf of this school system in the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals. And we won in the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals with a unanimous verdict in this school system's favor. No longer did the plane get back and land in the Memphis airport, then we in fact had a state court lawsuit regarding the data breach. And that has been going on for some time. We now have filed a motion to dismiss, and I will now report to this board that after 8 long years of litigation, the plaintiffs have now non-sued and they have dismissed the lawsuit. And the data breach lawsuit beginning 8 years ago has now been finally concluded. And so those are 2 pieces of good information for this board. And again, I want to thank you. I know it seems hard for me to believe. 43 years, I started with Hyatt Williams. And so I appreciate this board more than you could imagine. And so thank you very much. And Superintendent, thank you for giving me a chance to speak this evening.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Trill. Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, Mr. Hunter Bennett, go ahead.
Yes, sir. No, I was gonna say,
Okay.
Mr. Hunter Bennett.
Yeah.
Come on up.
Maybe supervisor.
That's right. That's 2 introductions. This better be good, Tom.
He's popular guy right
Keep it
now.
short and sweet. However, I do want to remind everyone of all the good things that are going on in the school system. And at the end of the day, this is a great place to be and a great place to work. So again, some of the capital improvement projects that we've got going on with the ESSER funds, the exterior door replacements have been completed at Charter Academy. So the 3 schools that are currently complete as far as the exterior door replacements is Drummond's Elementary, Mumford Elementary, and Charter Academy. The remaining schools in Covington and Mumford should be completed in the coming weeks. The Brighton schools and Austin P door projects are out for bid now. Those will be open Thursday, the 28th, September the 28th at 10. And 2 companies to this date have shown interest in the bidding of this project. Previously, we only had 1 that came forward interested in the bidding due to some of the time issues that we had. We dug hard into finding another door company that would come up and, take some interest in helping us with this project. So, competition's always good. The doors and the floors and the culinary arts kitchens we've recently installed. So those are, actually, I think they may have finished Brighton's today. We had a lot of meetings, so I didn't get down there today. But I know that Covington and Mumford were installed earlier this week, and they were actively at Brighton yesterday. We'll get those kitchens hopefully wrapped up here in the coming weeks as far as painted and all the new equipment and stuff in stock. So installed so they can move forward with their more commercial style kitchens. There are 4 units which remain to be set in, from the initial HVAC project. The crews are awaiting the curbs to get that initial phase of HVAC completed. We do have some punch list of items that we do have to go back and tweak and adjust on those, but that project has gone fairly smooth. The 2 units that were ordered over the summer for Charter Academy Gym are scheduled to be installed over fall break. And then ESSER 3 is up. So it has been approved and we're looking to replace a few more of our older units, as well as we're waiting pricing details to determine how many more we could potentially replace, depending on how much of the ESSER 3 funds will be available. We're also hopeful to be able to tackle some more bathrooms with the ESSER 3 funds. So jury's still out on that, if you will, to see how much. But our next focus would be Brighton High and Brighton Middle, as far as getting those schools bathrooms updated.
Excuse me, will you have to rebid those, or do we keep the contractor?
So Jeff Morris is currently managing that project. I believe, from my understanding, I'm going to record say that don't quote me on this, but when a project is bid, you have a certain percentage that you can do a change order on without having to go back to bid, as long as it doesn't, exceed a certain dollar amount. But I will find out for sure from Jeff and send you guys an update on that process.
I will say this, every time, because it's they're ESSER dollars we're spending, every time there's an adjustment made, that has to be sent up to the state, approved, say, yes, you can do this, then we get the information back. It's a whole process for us to be able to do that every time. So, there will be a process whether there's a bid involved or not. I don't know, like Hunter said, it'll depend on the amount, probably, whether or not it's considered a change order.
Correct. So, but still very promising that we get to have some more updates. And though, in the bathroom project, guys, it has been very well received. I don't know what you guys have heard, but I know within the schools as we're around people, they're just like, wow, it's just nice to be able to go in here and not smell it every time.
Have we looked at cafeteria tables is that in if we looked at any of that as far as the conditions of, I just know Mumford High School and Mumford Middle, they're just, I don't know how old they are, but they're fairly old. I didn't know if we had looked at any of those or can we spend funds?
We haven't, but we
I
can.
personally, but I'll make note here to get some.
I would just go look at those and just see, because there's some that are not the best shape.
keep looking around, you'll find the wire.
No doubt. I don't remember, are they rectangle or round? They're rectangle, they're round,
Yeah, they got some slants.
both school, yeah.
Handles you hold on to.
That's in case there's a spill or whatever.
That's right.
And I do know that we have a feature inspection that we're hoping to have scheduled this over Christmas. It's just one of the, it's just, I don't say it's falling through the cracks, so far as level of priority, did have to sit on the sidelines for a moment. But that was about the bleacher question right now, so.
Mr. Hunter, I also think Ms. Matthews, she's in the process of checking with schools and seeing if they need tables.
Gotcha.
I think we have several in storage that came out of Christmas.
That's correct, we do. We have several in the Crumpy's what we refer to as the Crumpy's warehouse, the storage that we did. You know, we pulled cafeteria tables out that we might be able to, I don't know, but I'm not very educated on the cafeteria tables. I know they come out of elementary school, they're probably short, but maybe they have.
Well, these were some high school ones. They were pretty low and
Gotcha.
well used.
Well, I do have some that are probably been well used.
Yep.
But we can look at what could possibly be repurposed in the meantime. So.
Sure.
Our Mumford Ag Barn, if you hadn't made it to the backside of Mumford High, you should. It's a very nice project. So they got the Ag Barn up, they got the greenhouse installed now, and it got turned over last week. Brighton High School should be finished next week. They showed up there with some holes that had to have some modification because it was a bit of a remodel project. It should be completed next week. In the Covington High, we have some dirt work to be finished up the week of 9/25. And then that one we'll be able to start moving on the inside and getting some electrical and framing and things done. Hopefully push it out here very soon. We are going to begin delivering the repurposed material where we milled on some of our projects to Drummond Elementary next week to widen that bus lane. And I've met with Clymer. We can piggyback off the sheriff department, or excuse me, the Tipton County's contract, since it doesn't involve any milling, it's just widening, so we will be able to use their contract to be able to put to cap the top of that. But for the meantime, they need us to widen, but we've got the material and capacity with the equipment, the dump trailer and whatnot to haul the material. And go ahead and get that
Definitely
wide.
wider, and like I say, the 2 days before I had surgery, I filled those 2 big giant holes up with rock, but I had to go check on it, but I hadn't been out.
Well, it definitely needs some attention, and we're gonna start delivering material next week to get that wide. We are on the hook to get out of the warehouse on Mill Road where we've housed some material by the end of the month. So thanks to the sheriff department for assisting us with some labor to help get some of that stuff out. It has been a relief on my end not to utilize our maintenance department to go over and spend their days, emptying the warehouse. So thank you again for that, for the assistance with that. And the Mumford High School additional lights are currently being installed. The material, we arrived, the crews are on, they work today. And I don't have a completion date, whether it be tomorrow or first of the week. However, your next home game will hopefully satisfy and make people happy. So,
Where did you get the, I said, took everybody got the email from Mr. Brewer about the.
about the walkway.
Walkway.
We're gonna look at it, but honestly, when he sent the email to the world, none of us had even heard it yet. So, I mean, we'll look at it, but it'll be on our list.
I know that they
It's
would.
some safety stuff.
He hadn't approached us with it, so. Is
Some of
it,
that stuff we didn't figure out when we designed it, cause
right,
we didn't pay attention to it, and then boop, we ain't got any place to walk to the fence and stuff.
mhm,
Which doesn't affect any other schools because of the way they're laid out, Mumford is down that hole,
right.
nowhere to go.
Well, it might affect Covington too, because those tracks are exactly the same size, same
Well, I'm
width,
talking about as
everything.
far as their food, they all go to get their food to one end, you got no
Gotcha.
choice but to go. If you want food, you go this
Gotta
way,
go that
or
way.
Mumford, you go upstairs, you go after the band.
Yeah.
The only way now is go all the way around, on the backside instead of going around.
I think we're gonna look at it, but maybe get one of our architects to stop by and take a look at it too, and just see what the options are. But again, when we heard about it the same day y'all did.
Yeah, correct.
So, it'll be on my agenda, but it's not the first one.
On wheels.
Yep.
Any other questions?
I have a couple.
Yes, ma'am.
Did we do anything regarding water at both the
So
Crescent Elementary?
I spoke to the principals and I
You did take bottled water. Did
We
we ever
did.
look at coolers?
Well, I
down
do
there?
know that they were looking to do I spoke with.
Sherry?
Yes, well, Sherry, and Sabrina's not here, so I don't wanna speak on Sabrina's. I do know that it was, being that that was part of the food and nutrition portion, we did pass that concern over. I don't know if it was ordered, if that equipment was ordered.
I think she did.
We've issued a purchase order to a vendor that's supposed to supply drinking water, those stations like those buckets, you know.
Good.
with paper
Because
cups.
that's just been a big thing for everyone there. And I know also, I know we're working with engineers on the sound.
We are,
I know we're still
on a daily basis.
muddling through that.
As a matter of fact, they were on site again this morning, before we did our bid opening. They were going back to if you would, the drawing board, if you will, before making the next recommendation, so we can try to be fiscally responsible and not just, continue to chase something that's new to us all. So, I do feel comfortable that we can find some solution. I'm hopeful that those that understand that this is a temporary status will realize that it's not going to be the sound maintenance or management that's in a brick and mortar building or in a, one that does have ceilings, that the efforts put forward to keep them all together, keep them in a location where they could continue to build their relationships was obviously heard very loud and clear, and that we will continue to strive to meet the noise managements. But
And we have
I
a
don't
couple,
have an answer as far as the final, as far as that.
and we do have a couple other options that we're thinking on right now that we'll probably have to share with you soon. Yeah, and that's not trying to be all secretive there. I just don't know yet. Before there are a lot of things in play. Fire marshal has to approve it. There are a lot of things so we're working through a couple things, but I think we're gonna maybe put forth a helpful solution very soon.
Great.
Yeah, because I know it's gotta be frustrating, so.
Well, I think some that are just, with sensory overload, some of them struggle with
Right.
that, so.
Absolutely. Gotcha.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Hall. Dr. Byrd, Director of Instruction, report.
Thank you, Mr. Marty. I want to start with our American Fidelity Teacher of the Month. We're starting that back up now that school's back in session. And for the month of August, we have Ms. Kayla Mashburn, who is a special ed teacher from Brighton Elementary. And I want to read to you all what her principal said about her and her nomination. Kayla Mashburn works very hard with our students who need extra help. Ms. Kayla has created a very positive atmosphere in her classroom. She goes over and beyond to make sure her students are successful, and she is very caring and patient. She is always willing to lend a helping hand to anyone in need. We are so grateful to have Ms. Kayla at BES. So Ms. Kayla, if you will come up, and I believe our principal is here as well. Thank you so much.
They can restage any photo that you need.
Did you get an okay picture? I got it. Okay.
That's her mama smiling real big.
I know, that is her mom and her sister who came with her. And they said, can we leave afterwards? And I said, yes. Kayla is a great teacher. She was at Atoka when I was there, so.
Her mom drove a bus for us for a long time.
Yeah, like 30-something years, she said.
Sure
So,
did.
yeah, it's in her
We
blood.
tried to get her to come back, but she said
She
nope.
said no. Mr. Vincent had asked me to gather some data to share with you all tonight, and the first are some personnel numbers. He asked about the number of teachers we hired and et cetera. So 80 teachers have been hired this year. We have 11 current certified openings. 28 teachers retired last year. 54 teachers resigned last year. And his final question was about how many teachers are currently eligible for retirement, and our best estimate is around 60. And what we did to get that number was we looked at the seniority list of anyone who had 26 years or more for Tipton County Schools. Now, our seniority list is just for Tipton County Schools, so there could be a few more that worked somewhere else and they have experience there, and then now they're with us. But we just started, we did 26 years and up, and it's about 60 folks. So that was the data he asked me to collect.
Rebecca, would you say the retirements and resignations were higher, lower, or about the norm last year? Retirements and
Retirement's probably about the norm, I would say.
Compared to the state or
Resignations,
compared
I'm
to
not
us?
I think you mean compared to
Yeah.
the previous years for us?
Yeah.
The state, I have no idea. About retirements, I would say probably about like it normally is since I've been doing this job. Resignations, I would be afraid to answer that question. I can ask and try to find out,
That's okay.
but off the top of my head, I don't know.
So
Sorry.
82 teachers we lost last year, and we're still 11 short this year.
Currently, yes.
Right.
The other data that Mr. Benson asked about was staff EZ. And so I reached out to them for a couple of numbers that I wanted to give you all. We currently have 90 active subs. And we have, according to them 2 days ago, we have 108 more people who either need a background check, an enrollment meeting, or they're new and need to complete all the requirements. So there are some more that are in the works, but right now we have 90 current. And our fill rate from the 1st to the 13th, August 1st, I'm sorry, through September the 13th, 87%.
Okay.
And I believe I gave you all a copy of that in the folder for tonight.
Okay, thank you. Are you the contact person for the local sub-monitor, or is that Ms. Bennett, or what's the deal there?
I've been.
Looks like you are?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Thank you.
The last part of that was, have we had any schools share concerns? And yes, we have. The major concerns, I don't want to read you everything, but just briefly, fill rate. And they said specifically when it's like an early morning emergency sub, people call in early in the morning because their child is sick or they wake up sick, that they feel like those aren't filled as much as those that, and that's gonna happen as much as the ones that are, I know I'm going to the doctor in 2 weeks, so I have plenty of time to get a sub, right? But fill rate, I did remind the principals and ed council this week when we met that when we decided to rebid the substitute services, we weren't sure that fill rate was going to change because the labor market is, we're using pretty much the same groups of subs that we had with the prior vendor. So that, it's 87% right now, but that was a concern. People said fill rate. Some other concerns were communication, and we hear from some schools, got a few issues with communication, and a couple other schools will say, no, it's great. So it's kind of hard to say. Problems with the app when a teacher tries to cancel a sub that they have scheduled, and subs canceling at one school, taking an assignment at another school in the district, which is not supposed to be allowed. And then the cutoff time for requesting a sub, and I think they mean in the mornings. I'm not exactly sure what the verbiage was on that. But all of the concerns, because they were kind of lengthy, I tried to summarize it for you. I have given those to staff EZ. They provided some feedback of how they were addressing it. And then the list that I sent them yesterday, they haven't yet responded, but I'm sure that they will. When they respond, it's usually.
Would you say the principals are generally happy with so far? Of course, it's early in the year.
I think it's too early to tell.
Okay.
Like I said, there have been a few concerns, but we've shared them and hopefully they'll be addressed. And I think with our person that's just, that works just, I don't want to say for Tipton County because she's their employee, but is dedicated to serving our district, I think that's going to help, but she's still kind of new and learning the job. So I think that will get better, hopefully. And then the last thing, we need to talk about policies. Last month, we did section 1 of the policy manual. This month is section 2. So if anyone has a policy that they would like to discuss, that section 2 is on fiscal management. If I can't answer it, I'm sure Mr. Doherty can. But are there any policies that someone wanted to discuss tonight? Okay, next month we'll look at section 3, support services, and if you'll preview those and send me any that you would like for me to pull and have ready for the meeting, I'll be glad to do that.
May I ask one last question?
Sure.
I think the state approved last time allowing student teachers to actually be on the payroll while they're student teaching at schools. I think they passed that legislation. Do you have any idea if we are taking advantage of that?
I haven't, okay, so I haven't seen anything, usually that kind of information will come to me from, or to us from TSBA, and I haven't seen that yet. So it could be coming, that may be something we can talk about Monday night at the Fall District meeting, I don't know, I haven't heard that, I don't wanna speak for Dr. Combs, I don't know
Okay,
if
I was
I've
just
heard or not.
I've heard the question, but I haven't heard the answer. No, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Burke. Director of Operations, Mr. James Fields.
Good afternoon. I actually only have a couple of things I want to lift tonight. So I get a lot of calls on what do we do whenever we get a threat of mass shooting. So this year, it came into law that a threat of mass shooting is now a zero tolerance offense. And I don't know if I mentioned that last month, but we're very consistent. So whenever we get that threat, the SROs, police, they're called immediately. We do that every time. There's always a threat assessment, so we're very consistent with that. We do that every time, regardless of the age of the kid, elementary, middle, or high school. Now, what seems to be inconsistent is the consequence that the school gives to the kid. And that's always determined by what they get out of the threat assessment. So you may have an elementary kid saying, hey, I'm gonna shoot up the school, and we know what happened. He was in a restroom wrestling with some kids or whatever. So he may not get the 180. Now we may have a high school kid that's been in a couple fights and threatens to shoot some people at school, and he has a weapon in the car or whatever. So now the scenario is totally different. So he will get that 180. Now we've had 3 kids this year so far that have already received 180 out of Tipton County schools. So we're very consistent, and you may get those calls, so what do? That's what we do, and we do it every time. I'm getting a lot of calls on transportation for kids that are on open enrollment and special exemptions. And it's very simple. Whenever they sign that contract, they're saying that they're responsible for transportation for their child. But then they'll say, well, Mr. Fields, hey, his grandmother lives right down the street. Can he get on the bus? No, we can't do that, because if we open that door, we have to do that for every open enrollment student that we have. And you, you all know we have plenty. But I get that call anyway. Parents also get upset when we have to return, when their kids have to return to their home school. So every time a kid has to return, they're put on a 4-week improvement plan. So they get an opportunity to straighten up and do better, and to stay at that open enrollment school or that special exemption school. So they're not just put out and sent back to their own school. So they always have opportunity to stay there.
How many do we have, Mr. Fields, on open enrollment? Remind me again.
About 600 or so, open enrollment. It's not just this year, but over the course of years that are still considered open enrollment.
We have plenty. The last thing I have is, we started wanting fans and using metal detectors at all of our football games. And man, it's working well. I was in the parking lot watching cars come up, and they see the administrators wandering and people going through metal detectors, and they're jumping back in their cars and just taking off and going back home. So it's definitely a deterrent, and I commend Dr. Combs on putting that in there. So that's all I have for tonight.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Fields. All right. Mr. Billy Daugherty, financial report.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Evening.
I would be remiss tonight if I didn't highlight a very qualified individual in here. Having spent nearly a quarter of a century in law enforcement, you learn who you would want to come to your house if something happened to somebody you loved. If something happened to somebody I love, I would want Chris Williams there. And Donna Turner, they're great law enforcement. I was so proud to watch Chris come up here a while ago, and he's accomplished so much. He's the cream rises to the top. He's a good dude. So shout out to you, Chief. Appreciate you. Not that I work for him now as a reserve or anything, but all right. I apologize to you all. I missed last month. I was under the weather. And so, got me to thinking, I'm gonna invite Will Beasley up here with me tonight, as he's part of our finance team. You all met Will. Will is one of our hashtag endless possibilities, graduate of Brighton High School, graduated from the University of Memphis, and started with us about 9 months ago, and is doing a phenomenal job. But I thought it would be good to get him in the set in case I have to be out, then you have somebody that can step up and do that. So we're gonna kind of tag team the report tonight, if that's okay with y'all. I did want to point out that name of that company is Crystal Springs. I looked it up while we were waiting. So that's the one that we contracted with to do the water. So without further ado, I'm gonna allow Will to step up here and present part of the report, and I'll jump in here in just a second.
Hello, everybody. So, to start off, pursuant to Section 4, Title II, Tennessee Internal School Uniform Accounting Policy Manual, that is soon as possible after school begins, students in consultation with the activity/club sponsors should develop and adopt a budget that will be used during the current fiscal year. Principals are then required to submit a comprehensive school budget board to the Director of Schools office. We request that each of the 13 internal school budget submissions be approved as presented by the school principal. Mr. Chairman, I ask for a motion to approve.
We heard the request. Do we have a motion? A motion from Mr. Jenkins, second by Mr. McClurkin. Are there any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, so next, school activity and other internal funds maintained by each school must be audited annually in accordance with the TCA 49-2-112. The annual audit must be prepared by a certified public accountant in good standing with the Tennessee State Board of Accountancy or by the Comptroller of the Treasury. I request that approval to award the fiscal year 24 internal school audit to Whitehorn, Tankersley, and Davis PLLC for a sum of $54,000. Mr. Chairman, I ask for a motion.
Yes, sir. Okay. We heard the request. Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Eubanks, second by Mr. Kurt. Any questions on it? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
All right. We're gonna start, or jump into the budget amendments. We're gonna be touching all three funds tonight, the 141, 142, and 143, and I'm gonna start with the 141. If I could call your attention back to our July meeting, I provided you all with a form that showed the total construction costs for the interim structures, the disaster response. I put that back in this month's folder too for quick access, so it's in there if you'll look at it. It's titled under the FEMA reimbursement estimates. And that's that form that essentially had figures on one side and a blue line down the center highlighting the 2 fiscal years. We went over those numbers, but at that time, if you'll remember, the county had not ratified the fiscal year 24 budget, so we had no budget documents. So they've since ratified the budget. I've included that in your packet too, so if you'll look at the document titled TCBOE fiscal year 23-24 budget 141, that is the actual budget that was ratified by the county commission. And one of the things I want to bring to your attention, you know, our budgets are always an estimation. If you'll scroll to the bottom of that document, the document that says TCBOE fiscal year 23-24 budget 141, you will notice that the county commission has budgeted $500,000 in excess of what we had estimated. That is that we now have an excess of $500,000 in estimated revenues over expenditures. That's a good thing, right? And so I want you to be aware of that because that's going to be key in just a moment when we talk about an amendment. So in addition to that, we're taking all that in. If you'll look at the document that says 141 General Purpose School Fund October Amendments Draft, or 141 GPSF October Amendments. My youth pastor always says, when he's calling people to scripture, he says, when you're there, say word.
Word.
So when you got the document, say word here. All right, or PDF or whatever fits that. All right, everybody pretty much ready for that. So if you'll look in this document, this is an amendment to the 141 fund that you all have already voted on in July. But this is in the structure of the report of the ratified budget. So go ahead and you can look in the top, and there is a disaster relief allotment or allocation at the top that is on page 2 in the sum of $5.8 million. and some change. Now, if you scroll all the way to the end of the document, now that's money we expect to receive from FEMA in a revenue reimbursement during this process. If you scan all the way down to the bottom, you will see where those expenditures are slated to go out in the 76-100. That's actually on page 10. And so when you're there at 76-100, say word. My youth pastor's watching tonight, he's gonna be so excited. All right, so those are how the expenses break down. You all saw that on that sheet and voted on those expenditures. Now you notice that the expenditures are higher than what the revenue estimates are, and that's because we talked about how FEMA does 75%, state does 12.5%, the county has to match 12.5%. So if you scroll to the bottom, the 12.5% that we have to match is a $839,482 hit to fund balance, or impact on fund balance potentially. Now, we were prepared for that already. What I found to be a little bit of relief is we have this excess of revenue of $500,000 that came in at the ratification of the budget, which essentially means that the impact of fund balance has just dropped to $339,000 for this fiscal year. Now, that's not to say that's how it'll fall out in the end. You know, we still have a whole year of estimations and expenses and unknowns to deal with. But I wanted to bring that to your attention because I think that's going to be significant for us to pay attention to as we go through the process.
Quick question while you're on this page.
Yes, sir.
Does this take into consideration the fact that we're not paying for SROs any longer?
These amendments have nothing to do with any of that. This is solely that disaster response amendments that we dealt with in July.
What about the final budget that you were talking about? You said this is your final budget document.
So now that money that you all budgeted, maybe I misunderstand your question. The money you all budgeted for SROs in anticipation of whether or not the agencies will get, that money is in this budget. Now, there's some other issues we've got to take up.
It's in the budget for SROs?
It's in the budget for SROs as you all passed it, and remember, we did it in May, right? And then we didn't know till later that the agencies were actually gonna get the grants.
So that's actually money.
That is money in there.
Good.
That is money to our good.
Right.
Now, you know, as always, there's something asking for it already. We'll talk about that in a little while.
Sounds like Mr. Vincent's winding up to something.
Yes, I know,
Sounds like, doesn't it?
Yes. So, but I want you to be aware of that. And so really, this is something you've already voted on, Mr. Chairman. My request tonight is that we just officially take up one more vote, a motion to pass these amendments based on this document that's now it's in the structure with the ratified budget. Yes, sir.
So we didn't qualify for the whether.
Small and impoverished community.
Okay, we didn't meet that, or?
I'm not gonna say we didn't, we have not as of yet.
Okay.
The last communication Dr. Combs and I received is that we may get our first payment from FEMA in October. And so, that, it'll make us all feel a lot better once we know kind of where that's going to land and they make those assessments. Worst case scenario, 12.5%, best case scenario, 5%.
Okay, so that's still not, I mean, that's still.
I haven't been told that it's off the table.
It's a possibility. So, and kind of here's, just like, Mr. Billy said, just saying to go, yes, one of the things I argued about when they said not small impoverished community, they're talking about the county. Well, you know, you can't factor the whole, I mean, the tornado issue happened here in Covington. If you just put this, just Covington and use that, it is a small impoverished community.
That's right.
But so we're pushing back on that a little bit.
Okay.
However, when we've spoken with our FEMA rep, our second FEMA rep, he has encouraged us to push forward, and he's thinking October. I just talked to him yesterday. He said could be close to the beginning of November before we see, you know, that starts flowing, before we start seeing some stuff. But we're still pushing that.
The 5.8 would be in this calendar year?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I mean, that's the hope.
Yeah.
Yes, you will. Let me make sure I'm clarifying all that, because it depends on where they identify that percentage.
Correct.
So they're either gonna pay us a 30% or 40% or something, that a portion of the money up front. It may be higher than that.
But we've requested, when we built it, and Hunter, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we built what we're requesting from FEMA, we put as many of those front-end expenses on the front end, I mean, at the beginning as we could, to make that number as high as we could get it, so that percentage obviously would be as high as we could get it. Is that not right?
Correct. We did
Okay.
not go for the 100% because that was like a one-time draw, if you went for all of it. And
Yeah.
anything over, but we get percentage up front and then they start paying on the actuals.
Absolutely, and just like the question that Miss Loretta asked earlier, as far as the, you know, working on that baffling system and some of that stuff to fix the acoustics or help with the acoustics, you know, if we'd have done that 100% on the front end, we couldn't continue to make adjustments and hope that they paid for it.
Right.
So, and we knew that would probably be an issue, so, you know.
And so we're hoping that when that payment hits, I know I'm gonna be sleeping a lot easier when I know the money's in the bank. And, so then that'll kind of help us also to project how this is gonna go over the next 26 months. And so, but I want you to be aware of that, and so that is my motion request, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion, motion by Ms. Eubanks, second by Mr. McCann. Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
All right, so moving on to the 142 School Federal Project Fund, amendments published by the TDOE and E-Plan and requested by the program managers on the following entitlement funding applications. Consist of the ARP Homeless 2.0, the ARP IDEA Part B funds, the ARP IDEA Preschool funds, and the ESSER 2.0 and the ESSER 3.0, and also the Math Implementation Support Grant. Ask for a motion to approve.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Ms. McClurkin, second by Mr. Curtis. Are there any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
All right, so ESSER 2.0 and ESSER 3.0 applications require the board to review and approve this project year's applications for filing. I request that the action be recorded in the minutes and the board approve, Mr. Chairman and Dr. Combs, to sign the application indicating such.
I heard the request. Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. McCann, second by Mr. Vincent. Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
All right, so a request as solicited from the Federal Programs Manager, Marion Samuel, for the addition of one full-time assistant at Crestview Middle School and for a part-time clerical position for Elementary and Secondary Education Act administration to be paid for through title and consolidated administration funding. I ask for a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Davidson, second by Ms. McClurkin. Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
All right, so I request the approval for the 142 School Federal Project Fund amendments as published by the TDOE and E-Plan and requested by the program managers on the following competitive funding applications: the 21st Century Cohort 2023, the 21st Century Remaining Funds, and the Access for All Learning Network, and also the HQIM Literacy Implementation Networks.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Kurt, second by Mr. Benson. Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
We also request the approval to amend the 143 Central Cafeteria Fund to reflect the identification of a maintenance position within the object code assigned by the Comptroller of the Treasury and the County Uniform Chart of Accounts.
Do we have a motion?
May I ask what that position will be used for? I mean,
Yes.
what's that maintenance person for cafeteria folks?
So this maintenance person has been inside the 143. Historically, the budget has been identifying all positions as the 165 or 189. But, you know, as we try to be more transparent in counting our positions, this year, the state changed some of their funding guide applications. And you're gonna see us come back next month with some of those changes to address them in our budget. This is one of those things. So you've got where a maintenance man was in 189, other salaries and wages. If you all look at that, you may not know that's a maintenance man. Bringing it out into 167, when you look at it, you know that's a maintenance man. And so that's what we're doing with this salary. We're just breaking it out.
So it's not really a new position?
It's not a new position.
Okay.
It's just a new classification for
Alright.
that position. And that gentleman's been here for quite some time.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Jenkins, second by Ms. Eubanks. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
All right, so you should all be provided with the Excel documents that reflect all the budget amendment requests in the format requested by the County Commission. These amendments would be presented to the Finance County Commission and in their October meeting.
Also, ladies and gentlemen, you'll notice in your packet, there are some revenue and expenditure reports, basically highlighting the finances for the month of August. Of course, we just closed the month of August. So I encourage you to look at those. Those show the number of, obviously, all the revenue that we took in and the disbursements that went out and kind of a starting and ending balance. They'll be in your packets going forward. in some fashion. I just want you to be able to look at that so you can see, and again, those are gonna reflect the 141 General Purpose School Fund, the 142 School Federal Projects Fund, the 143 Central Cafeteria Fund, and the 177 Capital Projects Fund. Mr. Chairman, if there be no questions, that concludes our report.
Okay, are there any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What did the teachers end up with the new formula that we had this year? What did they get on monies at the beginning of the year to help with classroom supplies?
Oh, I'm sorry, can I ask you to be more specific? As
Like-
far as
You're
you're
talking about like
Yeah,
instructional,
like-
instructional BEP
yeah.
money, like what they get.
What
at the
did,
end of the year.
how that worked out this year?
So a couple of things going on there, as far as instructional supplies. So you have an instructional allocation that is based on student enrollment at each school, and we write 75% of that check in August. Will wrote those checks out August 18th, I think. Send those to the school. Once enrollment is stabilized and we know, Dr. Berg gives us numbers, we make adjustments, and we pay out the balance of those instructional supplies. Those are checks we're writing to the school for instructional supplies. Will is writing those checks tomorrow, Monday. And so, the other portion of that is we paid out BEP to the teachers. And so all the teachers across the district got their standard BEP money. The other thing is that all your title teachers, all your grant teachers, they also get additional instructional supplies for the demands that are in those positions. And those checks have been, or those orders are going through regularly, constantly, every day. And so it's been, I don't have the numbers in front of me, and I don't want to go on record saying a certain number, but there's been thousands of dollars in instructional supply money written out to the schools in the last.
But like
few
a
weeks.
seventh grade teacher at Munford Middle, how much would she have got?
They get 100, 200, what they get?
Well, I don't know how the
Any
principal breaks down, they get $200.
Right.
The
So it was still
standard
Okay.
BEP teacher
That's what I was
payment,
wondering, if it was still
200.
that.
But I don't know how the school level breaks down the check the district writes for instructional supplies.
I know that can vary from
Yes, so I don't know how that's broken out. So, but that's kind of it.
I was just curious. You know, it's just they spend so much money out of pocket. I know that it always helps.
Now, and I do want to go ahead and say this on record because I think it's very important too. In saying that, when the schools were destroyed, you remember the community came together and they made donations. They wanted school supplies at these schools. And so we took that amount and it was specifically donated to Crestview Elementary and Crestview Middle School. And so when we issued BEP payments, we took that amount of money and we divided it by the number of teachers that were at Crestview Elementary and added that to their BEP. So they would have gotten a little more, but that's simply because there were donations made for that purpose.
Good deal.
Yes. Any questions?
Well, I have some things to say while you're through with your report.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have a couple things,
Okay.
if you don't mind. I'd like to make a motion, and if somebody seconds it, we can discuss it. I'd like to make a motion that we obligate $50,000 for bus driver recruiting and retention. And I have thoughts on that, they're pretty simple. If someone would like to second that, we can discuss it. Okay, all right, second.
We have a motion and a second now. Are there any discussion? You want to start?
Well, let me tell you what my thought was. I asked James this week, how many bus drivers are we down? He said 20. And I know for a fact that, James, do we have mechanics driving buses every day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you got a CDL license, don't pass by the bus bar, they'll drag you in there and get you driving. So my thought was this, and like I said, it was a simple thought, and it's not anything in concrete. I thought we'd, leave it up to the people, the supervisors handle that. But my thought was, okay, we're 20 bus drivers down. Let's authorize a $1,000 bonus. You can't necessarily call it a signing bonus, but give them a bonus once they get their CDL and they're certified as CDL. Give them $1,000, okay? That was my initial thought, because 20 bus drivers down, $1,000 a piece. Okay, would that help? I don't know. If it doesn't help recruit, it's in the budget there, no harm, no foul. You could also use that money for a retention, like if bus drivers, for instance, if they have perfect attendance for a couple months or something like that, shoot them a $100, $200 bonus or something like that to help retain bus drivers. So, like I said, it's a basic plan to try to help recruit and retain bus drivers, and I thought I'd make that formal motion.
Any other questions on?
No, I
think that you would have to put something in there to make it like, not for them to get their CDL, be like, ooh, here's $1,000, but like a time period of like 30, 60, or 90 days for them to serve before they get that.
And I think I would like to leave that up to the people who handle transportation.
Yeah.
However, I thought about that as well, and I've done a lot of research on it. And the research is, there's people out there paying signing fees for bus drivers, $2,500, $5,000. And their big thing is to make it worthwhile to the applicants, they want money up front.
Sure.
There were a lot of examples of how they give them 6 months, they give them half, and then another 6 months, they give them another half. But for the most part, from the people I researched, it worked if you give them their money as close to upfront as you can. And it wouldn't be on signing day, they'd have to go through the physical exam, which we pay for, the physical exam, the CDL preparation, the testing, the certification with the, transportation people and stuff. So it wouldn't be, it could be as little as a month perhaps, or something like that. But I've had that thought as well, so. But like I said, if we obligated some money and left the details up to the supervisors, I would be happy with that.
May I add this, what about, the money's fine, but what about letting the supervisors draw up a plan and present it to us
That'd be fine.
next month? Or was that next
Would that
month?
be, yeah, if we could present it like in October, we could draw up a plan along the lines of what you said, and then present it to you and see what y'all think, if you wanna tweak it or make any suggestions about it, but then we'd have something tangible to present to you, and let you see if that's kinda in line with what you want.
Do you have to make a motion on that?
You'd have to add it to the motion. The 50,000, add that in your motion. Mr. Benson?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Think about it, how would you do that?
Repeat
Well,
what you
no,
said.
just
and-
repeat that.
Okay, my motion is that we obligate $50,000 to help with bus drivers recruiting and retention, and we give Dr. Combs and the staff till next board meeting to present some sort of plan to that effect.
And then we'll vote on that plan. Right. Okay, is everybody satisfied with that? And you had the motion and Mr. Jenkins seconded. Okay, we're ready to vote. Any other questions? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So it's got that.
Okay, that was an easy one. I got another one. If you saw that thing I sent in about bonuses for teachers, it was in your folder there. I'm making a motion that we have a bonus for all personnel, bonuses for all personnel actually, as defined, as I broke it down on that sheet. It's the third one down, and it's specific. And I'll tell you why I did this. And when you look at it, you say, well, wouldn't it be nice if everybody got the same bonus? Yes, it would be nice. I agree. And I'm not saying, people are not worthy of a bonus or anything. Everybody's important. Trust me when I say that. But you heard our teacher figures. Lost 84 teachers last year. We're a month into school. We're still 11 teachers down. I'm just telling the board. I'm telling you the board, because I won't be here forever. But it's going to be rough in the coming years for teachers. We're going to be lucky to have teachers every school year. And so anyway, my suggestion is that we give, like I said, it's in your thing, certified teachers who actually herd children every day. They have classes of children every day. My recommendation is to give them a $1,000 bonus. All other certified personnel, a $500 bonus. I changed my figure on there from $250 to $300 for non-certified. And then for something I don't think we've done before, $100 for part-time personnel. So that's my motion as far as a bonus is concerned, to be paid prior to Christmas break, hopefully.
We've heard the motion. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Kirk. All right, now questions. Mr. Daughter, you want to elaborate on any?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So PE teacher would get $1,000 and counselor would get $500.
Does the counselor have a classroom? No.
But they're one counselor for a building of 900 kids. So they only get 500, but the PE teacher gets 1,000? I mean,
Well, of course
when you divide them up like
I
that,
know.
that's what makes that so hard.
I understand.
And then the bookkeeper gets $250?
We need another motion.
They get $300.
We need another motion for you to come back with a plan.
I'm just saying, I mean, I obviously love the idea of giving a bonus to our folks, 100%. I mean, you know, but this is y'all's decision, not mine, but I'm pushing back on those numbers because there are gonna be some folks definitely offended by that, so that's
I
one.
understand
And
completely.
the other thing is, do you wanna give a Christmas bonus, and then what if this person leaves in January? Do they get it? Do we need to have something in this that says, is there a trigger in there that says you have to work second semester to get the bonus, or you have to work into the second semester, or do you just get it? I mean, that's, when we originally talked about this back, when he brought it up, that's why I said that I thought it'd be good to bring this up, have this bonus the second semester, because it's almost a longevity thing. Or you divide this in half and you get half of it, you know, for a Christmas bonus, and then half of it second semester. I don't know. Those are my only two pushbacks, but I definitely think we're on the track that we need to give a bonus. I just think we need to think through it. That's just my opinion.
Well, my thought is this, I don't know how many support people, and like I said, I appreciate so much everybody, from the cafeteria people on up to the superintendent. I appreciate everyone. But how many non-certified people come home crying three nights a week?
Every bookkeeper
Well, I
and
don't know.
attendance person making the schedule.
How many of those folks are spending way more than $200 out of their own pocket for their classroom? So you say, well, why give teachers more? Because we need teachers, and we need great teachers.
I agree.
That's my rationale. Is it my plan to hurt morale from everybody not getting the same amount? No. And you know what? I think we do pretty darn good every year. The governor comes out and says, we're gonna give billions of dollars to teacher raises, but it comes here and we give everybody a raise, an across the board raise. I see this as a time, an opportunity to show appreciation to teachers for what they do on a daily basis. And to be honest with you, I wanted to bring it up this month, but it can wait till next month. Because I think I talked to Billy before, and that would be soon enough if we wanted to give a bonus at Christmas time.
There'd still be time.
There would, if I may, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of things that I want to keep in mind, just some facts I want to throw out there. Food service, you got 96 employees approximately, don't hold me the exact number. Half of them are part-time, they work 2 hours less a day than the other half's full-time. And so then you've got a disparity between how much money they're gonna get.
Wait a minute, you get $100 for a part-time, they've never gotten a bonus before, to my knowledge.
Right. But then the other person that they're working beside is less time. I'm just giving you an example.
$300 for that other person.
And so it's 200 more. To somebody that makes $8, $9 an hour, that's a bunch of money. But I'm just saying that, here's what I want you, here's where I feel incumbent to say this. We've got a $6 million disaster relief that we just amended, and we don't have the funds yet. Maybe we wait till we see if the FEMA money is going to hit first, because this is, if it doesn't, we're going to our fund balance for more than we anticipated. I don't want us to forget that Mr. Ligon, in his presentation, said they're gonna lose 13 buses at $125,000, $115,000 a pop out of the school fleet next year, that we're gonna need to buy some buses. We budget for 575, I believe it is, but we'll have to come up with some of those other ones. We've only received one TISA payment this year, $7.5 million received in August. Looks good, don't know how that's gonna work going forward. As the CFO, I certainly think that we need to give a bonus. The teachers do great. We gave them a 5%, they well deserved it.
Wasn't enough, didn't keep up with inflation.
The other part of that is we've got to keep a positive cash flow at the school board, and I just don't want us to get in a position
How many millions do we have in the?
Too quick.
How many millions do we have in the general fund?
So the trustees report this month showed 20 million when the books closed. You'll have it in that report if you'll look at the ending balance. Now, but the actual unassigned fund balance that I looked at when we closed the books in August is 17 million. So you figure if we take out 6 million of that, worst case scenario for the build outs or for the FEMA projects, and then we've got to, of course, take into account the other committee that we had.
and then all the unknown expenditures that we still haven't even got to yet. I think a bonus is possible. I think my household stands to get 2 bonuses. My wife and I both work for the district. And so, but I wanna be a good steward, and we may know closer here, I'm not saying no, let's maybe in October come up with a plan and see, do we give it at Christmas or do we give it in May? Certainly in May, we would be more comfortable as to what we had spent all year.
And I think with teachers, even in the summer, I mean, that money would help.
Vacation money, right, or whatever other money. I just think in December, there's still so many unknowns. And then if we look towards the end of the year, then we'll know what our expenses were. And hey, if FEMA comes through in October with this large payment, I probably would feel more comfortable with the bonus. I'm not saying yes or no, I just want you to know the issues or remind you of all the issues that we're having to take into consideration going forward that's going to affect that. So if we pay out, for example, $1.5 million on a bonus, you gotta figure we're spending $4 million a month in payroll. We're getting $7.5 million
That's not
on
my
average.
recommendation,
Well, I'm just using round numbers.
Yours is the third one.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
so
the third.
that's $1 million.
I remember our SRO money. I remember, Dr. Combs, we probably saved $250,000 from those LED light bulbs by now.
And another thing,
We need to do some more, but yeah.
and another thing I want you all to remember, our insurance premiums were $450,000 more than we budgeted for, so we gotta go find $450,000 somewhere to amend that line item. And so that's almost $500,000.
See, I'd almost rather give, I mean, I was gonna
Okay,
say,
hold there.
I'd almost rather give more than
Mr.
that.
Here's what I'm gonna
Wait,
do.
let's see if are you finished?
Yes, sir, I'll pause.
Okay.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I am withdrawing my motion, but I'm coming back next month, hot and heavy. And if there's not a plan already, I'll have my own.
Okay. So, okay.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, like I said, I almost look at this number and I'd like to do more than that. My thing is, I don't think that's enough, one. I think we could do a bigger number than that. Even if we divided it, I just don't, the breakdown,
I can
tweaks
live
me a
with
little
waiting till
bit.
next month and seeing what you guys' idea is, and I'll bring my proposal.
And this is where I wanna remind you where I do feel comfortable in giving the bonus. If you all remember, when they announced this TISA funding, they said it had to go out to the 26, 27 year, right? And so we budgeted everything, salaries and insurance, out to that time because we don't know what's gonna happen. So we budgeted a 22.5% insurance increase that's gonna cover this 4-year period. And we only spent 5% of it. It only went up 5% aggregate. So is there money there? Yes, there's money there. The issue being that money is it gonna be used for the disaster response? Or if the check comes in October, I would feel very good about recommending at that time a bonus, and much like Dr. Combs said, probably more than is being asked.
I like the philosophy, worry about what's going on today, not what's fixing to go on.
I don't have that luxury.
Okay.
Well, let me make this recommendation. Even if it is something that we decide, that y'all vote on to do, like something, for a Christmas thing and then something next semester or whatever we decide, I do encourage you to think of some kind of a fail-safe that's built in there where somebody won't get the bone and then they immediately leave.
Right.
I mean, because that can be spread out among other teachers and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They're doing it right now.
It's gotta be in there.
It just, but my thing is, it needs to be, like I said, I think the number needs to be bigger than this. I mean, and just to make sure I understand, you had changed on here on the third one, 250 to 300, right? Okay, I'm just making sure what I'm reading. Okay.
And we have teachers scheduled to retire in December.
Do we? Well, we have 60-something that can retire next year if they choose to. I just want teachers to know we're here for them, we're trying to help them, we're doing
100%.
everything possible to do that.
Like you gotta take care of what you got, or you won't have anything to take care of.
Yeah.
I tell the one I live with all the time.
Yep.
But you don't get a bonus.
That's a good point.
Mr. Darby, that concludes your report.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, and thank both of you. Yes.
Good job, Will.
Will did a fine job.
Will.
Nobody has a question for Will? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Next month, we'll come ready.
Okay.
All right. We have our fall district meeting Monday on the 18th, 4:30 to 7. It usually don't start till about 5, but registration starts at 4:30. And then we have our special meeting at 3 o'clock Monday afternoon. Shouldn't take, 30 minutes at max.
Yes, sir, I would think so. Hopefully we'll have it broken down pretty well.
And Dr. Combs, do you have anything to add?
Just to make sure I have my marching orders now, so for the October meeting, we're gonna have a plan. Let me rephrase that. James is gonna have a plan.
That's right.
Transportation, that he's gonna work out with them on the bus driver piece, right? And then we're also gonna come with, maybe a couple options for this too, to see if y'all like that, and then you'll have your plan as a,
Right.
if necessary. He'll pull out the plan.
Collaboration and recommendation.
I got you, okay.
James will be winning battle of who worked hardest next month.
If there wasn't a lot of discussion, maybe somebody could, you all could email us what your plans are, what your aspirations are, because I don't wanna work on one planning committee and be contrasted to what you all really want collectively. I'd kinda like to see what you all would expect your A, B, and C plan, if it's the same as what we have tonight.
I think that'd be good, and as long as, obviously, if you wanna email Billy individually, we don't need to have a group email going.
Right.
Y'all already know that.
Right.
Email him
Sunshine law.
individually. Yeah, that'd be good.
Can't do that. All right. Anybody, any other business? Ma'am?
Ms. Eubanks, will you be
I
resigning?
can't.
Say that one more time.
I asked Ms. Eubanks, will she be resigning
Why would I do that?
Why was she resigning?
for her, involvement with the whole McCommon, having the underage drinking at your home?
Ma'am,
Chief, has any of that been,
this is not the time.
that hadn't been even brought up.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
So we'll look forward to her resigning.
You may.
Hey,
A
That's-
lot of people may.
hey, you're out of order.
Very
You
out
been-
of order.
Okay. Thank you. Any other business? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Jenkins, second by Ms. McClurkin. We stand adjourned.